now. So we're going to record this for everyone that could not attend today. And just to briefly recap, we are conducting a overview of the manager dashboard for anyone who needs to approve travel with the new travel flow. So what I'll do now is I will go ahead and share my screen, and this is meant to be interactive. So if you have questions along the way or concerns, feel free to stop me and I'm happy to talk about it. So, great. So this screen is our home screen for TripActions, and you will receive a notification to register and create your profile once we turn the system on for everyone. So we should be doing that tomorrow so that it's available for everyone on Wednesday when we officially roll everything out. So the employees, most of the employees have to go through a process called a trip proposal. And that means that they actually have to request access, or rather request permission in order to make a booking. This is done for a couple of reasons. It gives you an idea of what the cost of the trip will be. Of course, travel has a lot of nuances and changes constantly, so we can't guarantee that the estimate is going to be exactly what the price is. But it does give you an estimate of what the trip should cost. And then it also gives you an overview of how necessary the trip actually is. So being in this, sort of post-COVID era, we're still in the middle of it in a lot of ways. We want to ensure that everyone is traveling for a reason that is deemed necessary by you as the manager and the company. So as an employee, they will have to create what's called a trip proposal. And part of that process is the traveler's name is automatically filled in. They have to create a trip name, so maybe trip to Amsterdam, and then a trip purpose. So visiting this particular client, this is necessary based on XYZ information. Travelers also have the option to search for travel. So if they want to get a better sense of what the availability is for a hotel, for a train, a car, a flight, what the different routes available are, all of that is located here, and they're able to make and search for everything. They're just not allowed to book until it's actually been approved. So, so what I'll do is, would it be helpful for me to start with an overview of like a trip search, or should I jump into more of what your dashboard looks like? Would everyone like?
Can we start with the trip search?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, please.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so when we search for travel, there are a couple different options. We can search by location. We actually use Google Maps, so you can type in, a very exact location or something more general. You can also search by company offices. So if you're visiting another office, for instance, we're on TripActions, so I could say I want to go to TripActions London. It's going to put me in that vicinity and actually show me on a map how close I am to that office, which is really nice. If that is for the purpose of hotels, let's say we'll just do a quick hotel search. We'll do something for October. The traveler, I'm logged in as Adam Reed, so not logged in as myself. So we're searching for him. I have the option as well to book a personal trip on TripActions. And right now we actually aren't charging any trip fees for personal trips, which is really nice. So this information, if someone does book a personal trip, it is not something you as a manager would have access to. There's really no record of it for any admins. It is very specific to your profile, and the company credit card is not made available to make that personal trip booking. But everything that comes with TripActions, such as the support and the different features, are all available to the traveler, which is really nice. So if the traveler wants to search for the company travel policy, they can tick this box here, or rather click on the link, excuse me, and they can see what is considered in policy and out of policy and what the company policy looks like. So we have it organized into flights under and over 6 hours, what's considered short haul and long haul. And then the options that are available. So for under 6 hours, economy, paid seats are allowed, so you can upgrade, which is nice. And then max price is determined by search. So this is all TripActions policy right now. This isn't this isn't specific to you because you're not actually live yet. We're demoing on TripActions, but just to give you an idea of what is in policy and out of policy. This max price, we use a really great complex algorithm to determine what the fair price should be. So I'll show you what that looks like for hotels while we do the search. So what we're doing right now is we're actually pulling inventory directly from the hotels. We're pulling inventory from our negotiated rates that we have with hotels all over the world. And then we're also pulling from third-party sites. So that includes booking.com, hotels.com, Priceline, all the different sites that you would normally search. We're actually pulling in that data to give you a fair price for the city that you're searching for. So London, quite expensive. This is in euros because it's under my profile, but we have what is called a price to beat. And you can see here that the fair price is going to be 202. And anything booked under 202 is considered in policy. We have this lodging collection as well, so people can see the different TripActions rates that we've negotiated, and on the map you can see how close it is to the office. There are also a number of filters that allow you to say, I only want a gym, or I want to see properties that have a gym or free parking, laundry, lounge, that kind of thing. You can set all the filters there, or if you want to stay in a Hyatt, you can type in Hyatt and it's going to give you any of those listed. Like for instance, I saw the Montcalm come up, so we can search any of those things there. So when we select a hotel, it'll open a new tab and it's going to give us all of the hotel details. So check in, check out, an overview of the rooms. We also have added new hygiene practices for each of the hotels so that your traveler and you feel secure booking there.
Hey, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
So is there a way to do like a favorite hotel, just like a preference?
Yeah, you can actually star hotels. So that is specific to your profile.
So if it's like close to the office and we only want to use that one.
Oh, so if you have a negotiated rate with a hotel as a company, we can absolutely load that into the system and that would actually come up first. Another cool thing that we do is we actually, we remember booking behavior. And so if a lot of colleagues have stayed in a hotel, it's going to start to come to the top of the search results. And also if you are staying in the same types of places or wherever you have loyalty tied to, those are going to start to come to the top of the search as well to help make the booking experience faster.
Cool.
So you can see all the different amenities, the different room recommendations, what's considered in policy and out of policy based on the price per night and the allowances that have been set by the company. So again, this is TripActions page, but this is essentially what your travelers will see. And the home page looks basically the same for everybody. So, so again, the traveler can search for travel. They cannot actually make the booking. What they'll then do is just create this trip proposal and hit continue. And once it is approved by you, they can actually start the booking. So there are a couple of ways for you as a manager to view the trip proposal request. And so you'll get an email. Here's kind of an example of what the email looks like. It's from us, TripActions, and it says you have a new trip proposal. Please review the details or decline. The trip proposal reason, yeah, they're requesting a hotel because the travel is too much for one day. So maybe that makes sense. And then you can see the booking that's needed. We also have included COVID-19 impact information for every single booking. So you can see the infection levels and reproduction rates based on country and also US city. And then there's a budget estimation. So you have the option from this email to go ahead and approve the trip based on what you're seeing, or you can decline the trip. So Once the trip is approved, the traveler would actually just go in to start booking, and then they are bound to these parameters in terms of TLV to LHR. So they wouldn't be able to book outside of those airports, since that is what actually they requested, and then also the city that they requested in Cambridge. So if they actually wanted to stay in London, for instance, that would be a new trip proposal, because that absolutely affects the price. As a manager, you are able to view everything through a dashboard. So I'm going to log in as a colleague, Penelope, who has a manager dashboard. So this is what a regular booking screen looks like. If you don't have the trip proposals turned on, this is more of what you'll see. And then you may have noticed, no matter what page we navigate to, we have these resources here, this little chat box, and also need help. So one of the best things about TripActions is our support team. They are available 24/7, free of charge, to help you and your travelers with essentially anything you need for your booking, related to your booking. So adding bags or changing your flight. We have a lot of self-service options for hotels and flights as well, but in the event that you have questions about anything, they're there by phone or by chat. So the chat support is great because you can multitask. You don't have to stay on the chat in order for it to, to stay in place. So you can essentially type in anything. If you run into an issue, you'll probably get a ping saying like, hey, I saw you're having an issue with this, can a support agent help you? These are all TripActions employees. We don't outsource. They're located in London, Amsterdam, Australia, and throughout the United States. So I'll just X out of that. So if we go under Penelope's profile, click on the name, we can go to her profile and set it up, and that's what everyone will do when they go in and register. And then she also has access to a manager dashboard. So we'll click on that. And her manager dashboard, this is very similar to what yours will look like. So this is an overview of all of your travelers. You can view direct reports and you can review all reports. Just depending on how you're set up in the user list, this is how you'll have access. And you can see a list of who's on your team just by clicking team. You can search for people as well. So if there's someone, you have a long list and you want to search for someone in particular, you can do it that way. User, phone number, manager, title, approver, cost center, all of those things are located on this little snapshot of the user list. And then you can also see all reports instead of direct reports. So longer list. So going back to the dashboard, really great thing about this is that this is, again, specific to your team and allows you to really understand where costs are going, how money is being spent. And so you can look at year to date, you can look at all time, you can really customize with the date, picker on what you want to see. So if we say January 1 to 31, we can get an overview. We can view the details of each booking as well. So these are going to be the most recent or based on our search criteria. We can also see what's been booked out of policy. So these two individuals book, half the time or a quarter of the time out of policy, the actual number and the total number of bookings they've made. So we can also see active travelers, which is really important, so that you have very quick access to know who's actually on the road, or maybe you just are, you want to know where everyone is, when someone's flight is actually departing, you have access under the active travelers. And then you can also see any upcoming bookings. So unfortunately, we don't have any upcoming bookings because travel is a bit stopped or slowed right now, but all of this will be listed for you when you do have travelers making bookings. Your approvals tab is here, so you can review any bookings that are pending, approved, or declined. And so when someone makes a booking, they have to request via a trip proposal, and then they'll make a booking based on the criteria that you approved. So a trip to Manchester, for instance, by train is going to be approved mode of transportation is train to Manchester. If they need something outside of those parameters, it would be a new trip proposal. And you can view, you can again approve in the email, or you can approve it on the dashboard. When someone makes a booking, it will be considered in policy or out of policy. So policy as it's set is a soft out of policy. So we believe in having access to choice. We are a marketplace of choice. So people have the options to book what they need, and often an out of policy booking, is necessary because of different changing client demands, or, things happen last minute and something maybe needs to be booked. So something may be considered out of policy, and you'll also, as a manager, get an email when something is booked that's maybe over the price allowance, or maybe something that wasn't booked in the appropriate time frame. So if the policy for hotels is it must be booked 2 weeks in advance, and this one was booked 11 days in advance, then that would be considered out of policy, and you would get a notification. So an email will look like this that says, hello, we want to alert you of this out of policy booking. This will be approved unless you cancel it within the next 24 hours. So this will tell you if the hotel or flight or whatever was booked is actually non-refundable, or if there is a refund available on it if you cancel it. So for this particular instance, it is not refundable if you choose to cancel the hotel. So out of policy reason, this is non-refundable rooms are not in the policy, and it exceeds the maximum lead time of 14 days. So there's a couple different things going on here, and it's for you to decide if this is something you would actually like to allow or disallow. You can also see some of the booking details, like where they're actually staying, the price, and then you also get a snapshot into the top 5 search results. So for, in this instance, it's clearly not a price issue, but this gives you an overview of what the options were, how far they were from the destination, basically what the traveler saw when they made the booking. You get a snapshot of that, and then you can actually hit find alternatives, and you can look for something other than what they booked. If maybe it's too much, or you have a better recommendation, you can make it here. So this will also all show up on your manager dashboard. So that's why we have the 2 columns. So bookings that are actually in policy and out of policy, and then trip proposals are the can I actually make the booking and travel. If you turn on delegate approvals, this is where you would actually delegate to have somebody approve these requests while you are away. So you can turn it on and off. You can search for a colleague. So these are my colleagues already coming up. I can, type in my own name, for instance, and it's going to pull me up right there. And then I can select the dates. So if you are away and you have trip proposals, you'll have to do that for both the bookings and the trip proposals. So delegate the approval person. Any questions on that before I move on?
No, nothing from me.
Okay,
Seems
cool.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It's very, this is one of the best things about our UI is it's extremely easy to use. There are some little nuances, but otherwise, hopefully, everyone, once you play around with it, you have a good sense of how to use it. So active travelers, again, direct reports and all reports, you can toggle this to see, between yesterday and tomorrow, who all is traveling, and you'll see a list of travelers already listed here if they are traveling. Another great thing about this is that you can run some reports. So when you log in for the first time, you'll get all these like handy sort of alerts that says how to use the features as well. You can hit next, or you can just X out of them. So when you log in for the first time, expect to see that. You can also save reports, and you can customize what you see. So if you click on columns, you can see all of these different options. There's a ton of columns. Whatever you would like to see, basically you can. So if you want to narrow it down, you just, untick the box, basically. The booking, so very straightforward again, booking date, setting parameters for the report that you want to run. You can look for basic by travel date, booking status, it was canceled, voided, ticketed, what's considered in policy and out of policy. You can search for a particular user, for instance. So this is going to bring up just your direct reports. or the people you oversee. And then maybe you want to look at a trip purpose, type, maybe just flights. What did we spend on just hotels last month, for instance? So this is going to bring up a summary right here. And then you can search for something in particular, whether it's an airline or Hilton, for instance, or a particular person. You can search for that here. And then you can also download this to Excel, CSV, or you can download all of the PDF invoices as well. And you can look at the invoice just by simply clicking on it. It's going to download that invoice and open it for you. So this is a sample invoice. Very straightforward. So once you have a report that you really like, maybe you want it in your inbox every Monday, you can schedule it. So save and schedule report, you can name it, hotels spent in the last 7 days, and then you hit schedule and it'll show up for you in an email. And then of course you can, if you hit the filter, you can add the different columns or different criteria rather that you see here. So if I add cost center, it's going to add it here, region, subsidiary, basically as granular as you want to get, our reporting can really get. So as much information as we have in the user list, we have available to you as well, which is a really nice way to understand, how money is being spent. And then of course the dashboard has the overview and you can adjust the dates for this as well. So that is an overview of the manager dashboard and what you will see. We went over the emails already. I'm happy to run through the profile and also the flight search if you'd like. Otherwise, I can definitely pause for questions. Any questions right now?
No, it's all pretty good.
Okay, cool. Easy. So if we go into profile, you'll be asked to set this up. We'll have your display first name and last name. For instance, my name is Brittany. I prefer Brit, so my display name will say Brit. And on my traveler info, I will have to put Brittany because that's what matches my government issued photo ID. That's how I get on the airplane. So you can see some information that we ask for here in terms of like passport information. If you're traveling to the USA, you may have a TSA pre-check number. You can add a second passport, and we also have preferences that you can set, which is really nice. So for me, I always prefer an aisle and vegetarian if I can get it. And so if I ever forget to select those options, the system will try to automatically assign it based on what I've selected as my preference. So, that's assistant info in the contact info. So if you have an assistant, you can fill in information here. Payment methods. So the company is using what's called our centralized billing and bill back. And so all payments will be handled through that method. That means that everything is paid for by TripActions and then the company is actually invoiced. So there shouldn't be any reason to add a credit card or a company credit card. Everything should go through the bill back system. However, if you're making a personal booking, this is where you would add a personal card. So when I book a personal trip through TripActions, this is what automatically comes up, as the card that I have on file. Any unused ticket credits are going to come up in your profile as well. So something maybe that was canceled that you hadn't used. You can also enter your loyalty program information. So this is really important because if you have loyalty tied to a certain airline, it's going to come up first in your search results. So I'm in Amsterdam. I tend to fly KLM. So I want to ensure that I have that in there, and then it'll automatically be applied to any airline that would accept KLM. So even if I book an Air France flight, for instance, it's going to come up. So you can see everything that Penelope has in terms of lodging and trains, the different rail cards she has, any car rental loyalty, you can add all of that. You can also track your carbon footprint. if you're interested. And then there's the calendar and email sync options as well. So you can allow calendar access if you'd like, and then you can set preferences and notifications based on that. So whether you want to get an email, mobile push, or SMS for all of these different types of things. So flight check-in reminders, upcoming trip reminders, trip proposals. If you want maybe a mobile push for that, you can. Booking confirmations. And then we have some other settings if you want to sync a different calendar or change your password. So everyone will have to set up their profile, and then once they do, they are available to be on the homepage and either request a booking or make a booking. So I'm happy to run through flights or trains if you guys would like to see it. Any thoughts so far? Anything that maybe hasn't been already answered that you have concerns about, or has been a problem in the past maybe that we can talk through now?
I think trains would be a good one because we use
Yeah.
trains quite a lot in business.
Okay. Is there a route in particular you want me to search, or?
London to Hull.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay. So you type in London and you have the different stations that come up, and you can choose your preference, or we can say London in general. And then what is it? Hull?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, cool. So Hull. We can also select an open return if we'd like, and then select the dates of departure. So let's say September 9th to the 10th. This confirms that Penelope is the person traveling. We can add a rail card here if we'd like. So this will, for trains, the rail card is entered, but it's not necessarily going to come up automatically. This is just specific to rail cards. So with hotels and flights, it does. But the cards that she has on file will come up. You just want to select which one you'd like to use. Or if you want to add a new one, you can hit add new, and it gives you the different options. So for trains, we have a connection with Trainline for all of the UK train system. And we also have access to Deutsche Bahn in Germany. And then we are working on SNCF in France, and closely coming up behind that, we'll have Spain as well. So something we are expanding, but you should have everything you need in the UK at least. So if we hit search, it's going to search all of the available inventory we have. Should just take a second. And then we really do closely align with the preferences on the train's website. If there's something you're not seeing, definitely let me know, and we can, look at if it's missing, or if it's something, that we have that we just hadn't seen. So we're looking at round trip options. The search criteria is here at the top, and then you can see the departure. So if we want to search earlier options, we definitely can. Otherwise, we can, if we click on the change, we can see what the change is, how long the transfer time is, all the details. We can show later options. So standard class, we can also look at more fares. So the more fares option is nice because we're giving, of course, the standard and the first class, but you have this, super off-peak single, different options you can choose if you'd like. Maybe we want to go with the advanced single. We're happy with that. And then we can select our return. So return flights, same situation, more fares if we'd like. Super off-peak maybe. We can continue to check out. So on the checkout page, every traveler has to put in a trip purpose. That is something they can type in, or they can choose from the selected list. So new hire training, there's also things, of course, you can see that maybe we're specific to TripActions in order to help us with our reporting from a finance perspective of how much money did we spend on this event. We can add that there. And then we also have a projects tab. So some companies use it, some companies don't, but this can again help with the reporting features. You can view your overview of your outbound and your inbound, also view exchange and refund information. The seat is automatically reserved. So if you do have an option to select a specific seat, you can. Otherwise, it's going to give you the seat preferences. So position, maybe we want an aisle, direction forward, and then we don't want the quiet cabin because we want to be working maybe. There should be an option for not indifferent. I have to look into that. But otherwise you can select what you have as your preferences. And then if the e-ticket is available, which most of the time it is, you can select that as your option, review the payment method, which will come up as centralized billing and bill back, and accept the terms of the National Rail condition, the National Rail, and then you can hit pay. If you would also like to see COVID information, you can click on that here. That's always available to every traveler at checkout. So this is because the travel is located within the United Kingdom, you can see the United Kingdom will come up, and it goes over the reproduction rate. So basically the reproduction rate is how many people we anticipate the COVID to be transferred to. Anything over 1 is going to be more than 1 person. So, and then there's 431 active cases per 100,000 people. Any questions or concerns on trains? Anything you're not seeing?
All good my end.
Great.
Yeah, fine for me. That's good.
Perfect. So we'll just go back to the booking screen. Great, and I think that's about all I had for you, unless you'd like to do a flight search. I don't want to take up more time than I need for everyone. I know everyone is very busy, but hopefully it's a pretty straightforward process of not only booking, but also managing your employees' travel. Are there anything else I can answer right now before we log off?
Looks all pretty good.
Great.
Yeah, nothing from me. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for taking the time, everyone. Sheila, anything else from you?
No, I think that's everything. As long as everyone's happy with how to go in and approve their teams, I'm all good.
Yeah, spot on.
Amazing. So something to note when something is booked out of policy, there is a 24-hour window. As you saw in the email, it's very clearly stated that the window is 24 hours to change the booking. Otherwise, it will be considered approved. It doesn't mean you can't still cancel something after the fact. There is not a time limit set on the trip proposal. Of course, the prices will change if it lags on for a week or something. But there's no set time for you to actually have to approve the trip proposal. But just being mindful of the days in which it was booked, and then the company policy of how far in advance things should be booked. Otherwise, you're approving a trip proposal, and then you're approving an out of policy booking as well. So just something to keep in mind. But otherwise, hopefully it should be very easy for everyone. And if you have questions, I think everyone has my email from the invite. I'm happy to answer them. We should go live on Wednesday.
Great, thank
Cool.
you, Brett.
It's great.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And
You
you,
too.
thank you.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Bye-bye.